Oh yes, folks, as Des Lynam used to famously tell us, this is the day that the nation goes racing. Welcome to Good Morning Aintree. It is Grand National Day, and what better way to start Grand National Day than with my three fine judges here beside me. Of course, I'm David Jennings. I'm joined by Paul Kealy, Keith Melrose and Jonathan Harding for Grand National Day. How are we, boys?
Yeah, well up for it.
Excited?
Yeah.
How's the excitement level, Keels, on a scale of 1 to 10?
Solid 8. I do love the National.
Solid 8. By the time you leave here, you will be a solid 10.
Well, I'll be 10 in.
Of course, betting editor Keith Melrose, good to have you here.
Yeah, good to see you, DJ.
You come in for the big day. We did the kind of run-up. We did the warm-ups. We were here Thursday and Friday, and you rock in for the big one.
Yeah, well, like Carberry at the end. I'm on King John's Castle.
Tanking. Yeah. Looking forward to it?
Yeah, absolutely. I've not quite reached the stage where I start throwing loads of money about it that we 8 on side in the National, but, you know, that's to come. That's when the excitement will go from 8 to 9. Absolutely.
And fresh from his winning nap yesterday, we've got Jonathan Harding. Well done, Mr. John Bond.
Winning even money now.
Doesn't matter. A winner is a winner, Jonathan. Doesn't matter what price.
I said he was the best horse in the race, and
you did.
Didn't he go and do it?
Was he though?
I thought you got a cracking ride.
Was he? He did get very. No, he did get very. I tell you what he is. He's a very, you know. I mean, I'm a big cynic when it comes to horses that are built up before they've actually done anything. So I sort of wanted to be against him because he cost a fortune, and everyone was talking about him being a superstar before he'd done anything. And he did look like he might be a bit of a nut to start with, didn't he? Because he gets worked up and all that. But as Aidan Coleman says, you know, he sweats, but he does it. Like, you know, and he's battled twice now, and you know he looks like a really good, strong stayer. But if El Fabiolo did lose ground on him at the wrong time, and did make up that ground very quickly on him, like, you know what I mean?
I'd say so.
You've gone straight into day 2 review mode. I haven't even told them what's coming up on today's show, and you've gone straight into it.
Sorry, we'll get straight in. Sorry.
We'll come back to that in a second.
Right.
Here's what's coming up on today's show. We're going to be reviewing yesterday's action with Paul Kealy, who will tell you what he thinks of John Bond again. And we're also going to be previewing the big one, of course, at 5:15. It's the Randox Grand National. And there's no Tiger Roll, but as you see from the screen, there is a leopardess, which is very, very clever from the boys in the graphics team. And we're going to look at the rest of the card. We've got Stayers Hurdle winner Flooring Porter, of course, in action against Time Hill again. And we've got Arkle winner Edward Stone. It's going to be a cracking day. So do you think we should look back on yesterday's action?
Yeah, I think we should. What
Who
should we start with? No, I think... there's a point I was trying to make is that El Fabiolo made up ground on him very, very quickly, having lost it. And I think in time, John Bond is going to get found out for pace at 2 miles. I think he's guaranteed to go up to 2.5, go to Chantry House route over fences and win the Turners next year. I was
going to say, you must be chuffed with your Turners bet after.
I backed him again at 12 straight after the race. It was still,
Did you?
It was still
12s?
It was not now, but he has to go for that race. I can't see him being an Arkle horse. He'll get done for speed by something, but he is a tough horse who now wants a trip.
And straight after the race, Aidan Coleman said, imagine him in the Arkle next year. If you think he's good now, imagine him in the Arkle. That wouldn't have been music to your ears.
No, it certainly wouldn't, but I'm absolutely convinced that he will go up.
Yes.
El Fabiolo looks like he will have a big future. You've now got Willie with Sir Gerhard, Stateman, El Fabiolo. Obviously, Dysart Dynamo fell in the spring, but he has got a lot of kind of good novices from this season who we can spread out next year.
Yeah, he does, and doesn't he always? I mean, maybe this is a particularly good crop, but Mullins always seems to have this absolute wealth of good 2-mile novice hurdlers, and not all of them go on to become what they think they might. But that was a real revelation yesterday, El Fabiolo. He showed so much pace to get back in the race twice, really, and still go down just like he did. It was he's obviously hopefully got a big future ahead of him if he's one of the ones that goes on.
He certainly does. John Bond and El Fabiolo produced a cracker yesterday, but for me, Jonathan, the highlight was definitely a High Seigneur. That was like what I was hoping he'd do at Cheltenham, which he didn't quite do, but we knew that performance was in there somewhere. What did you make of it?
I thought it was exceptional. I mean, I was with Brave Man's Game, who is another discussion how he ran. I think he just had a possibly. Nichols was suggesting he left his race at Cheltenham, even though he didn't.
Yeah,
he didn't
interesting
race
synopsis.
But look, Ahoy Seigneur was excellent. We knew he was a very good horse. He's always threatened to do that, and when he gets his jumping right, well, it wasn't perfect. Let's say
it was right, but it was actually right.
Yeah, it was good enough. It was good enough, and look, imagine sharpening up his jumping a little bit more. You've got to think he'd be in the Gold Cup picture. I know that's where they're sending him.
Is he a Gold Cup horse?
He's definitely going to be in the race next year as long as he stays sound, isn't he? And he's good enough. He's got to prove himself on undulating tracks. He's got to jump better than he did at Cheltenham. But, you know, that comes. He's only a novice. He's only 3 lengths down on Long Press. He's going to be, he's going to be a Gold Cup horse next year, you'd have thought. So, yeah, why not? I mean, I love the way he gallops. I mean, he gallops like Denman, doesn't he? He just doesn't quite jump like him. Like, you know what I mean? So, you know, he's a massive player. But every time we've seen him on a flat left-handed track, he's looked brilliant.
The point about him yesterday as well was that Fox got to do what he wanted a little bit, and that helped the horses jumping. He was able to basically dictate and nurse the horses jumping all the way round, and meant he was good enough to show that engine he's got. I bet he'll have an engine as good as anything in the Gold Cup next year, won't he? It's just whether he jumps.
So does that race yesterday sum up Aintree? Because you've got Long Press obviously coming in after being brilliant in the Brown Advisory, and just not quite at his peak, because he was at his peak in the Brown Advisory. That sums up Aintree from a punching perspective.
I mean, he was never travelling, but then a lot of Venetia Williams horses haven't travelled this week. Some of them run badly. I mean, the juvenile filly couldn't raise a gallop from the start, but we also have Ferrero Bamboo, who ran poorly, and another one. So, you know, I don't think her horses are quite right at the moment. And, you know, obviously it was worth a go. And he didn't run deplorably, but he wasn't travelling with the zest that he went with from the start at Cheltenham, was he?
No.
You know, so, you know, I'd write that off. That's not him.
That was a fairly classic Cheltenham to Aintree bouncer, wasn't it?
Yeah, and as far as Brave Man's Game leaving the race behind that he didn't have at Cheltenham, etc. You know, the one certainty that whenever there's a top class horse, whenever one gets beat, there's never not an excuse really.
Yeah, certainly gets style points for that one, doesn't he?
And that's with and that's with all trainers. Like, you know what I mean, there's nothing actually wrong. We just had an off day.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, that's what he had. He had an off day. He's better than that. I'm still not 100% certain that he is a proper stayer.
Speed 3 miler, it was sort of my working hypothesis, but yeah, even that.
Yeah, I'm just not 100% sure he's a proper stayer.
Okay, and before we move on to the big one, the National, Fakir de Dares, like, he's one of these horses that you can just set your watch by him now. He just turns up, he does it, and you're going, yeah, it was so obvious, sure. Like, why wasn't he 1 to 2?
Yeah, no, you're right, and he's just been wonderfully consistent. And there's the argument of, well, has he, you know, is he just sort of not as good as we think because he keeps missing out to Allaho? Is it just he's filling the places? That's all he does. But I mean, he was exceptional, wasn't he? It looked like it was going to become a little bit of a battle, but then the second he pressed the button on top, he just cleared. I mean, he's just. Hopefully, he'll get a little bit more love now.
Yeah, and
he's a terrific spring horse as well, isn't he? Yeah. I don't think he's ever been out of the 4 in any of the spring festivals, whenever he's run. You know, since he was 4 as well. Like, you know what I mean?
It's unbelievable.
Really,
he's
really
only
consistent.
7.
Yeah,
really. Like, Fakir de Dares is 7.
Yeah. Like, yeah, and he was, you know, at the end of the day, he was a proper Grade 1 horse against not proper Grade 1 horses, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I always thought he was going to win. I always try and back something each way, and I back Paint the Dream each way.
Who ran a belter for you, yeah.
Did I was getting quite excited turning in that you know, I might get the second place to Fakir de Dares. Not quite good enough. Quick word for So Royal as well. What a little warrior he is.
Legend.
Brilliant horse.
Like, you know, I could not have him at all. 44th start or whatever it was, going up in
10-year-old
time at the age of 10, like, you know, I mean, he just tries his little heart out, doesn't he? What a horse. You'd love to own him, wouldn't you?
Now, before we move on to the big one, right, more important matters are in hand. How did the bath turn out? You're getting a bath installed yesterday. Did you get the bath in?
It's in. It's actually quite. I was told there would be loads of tile damage because it would be a nightmare, but he actually cut the old one in half to get it out and managed to get it without any damage at all. So yeah, delighted.
Did you have a bath?
I don't have a bath. Not enough room for me and water, is there? I told you that yesterday.
The bath is in. We are ready for the 2022 Randox Grand National. And at the moment, with Paddy Power, Manila Times. Last year's winner is your favourite. Who would have thought that a couple of days ago? Then there's a whole rake of them at 10 to 1, including any second now. But before we preview the action, we've got an offer from Paddy's.
It's the Grand National, the world's greatest steeplechase. And we're paying 6 places. $5.15 on Saturday at Aintree. Log on to the Paddy Power app now to find out more. Paddy Power. Feel like a favourite. In the event of non-runners, place terms may vary. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Feel like a favourite, Paddy says. And at the moment, Manila Times is Paddy Power's 9 to 1 favourite, Keels. The right favourite?
No.
Of course not.
No, not at all. I mean, but I don't know what is, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? It's that open. This is probably the deepest Grand National we've had for years. You often get a few that you can fancy at the front, and then you've got a lot of old stagers that are running in there because they've still got a rating high enough to get in, but you can't give them much of a chance. But they've got lots of horses got in. On Thursday, we got 2 horses that we didn't expect to get in, who are officially the 2 of the best handicapped horses in the race, with Eclair Surf and Fortescue. And then, of course, we had all the, the very rare thing with all the reserves getting in, or at least 3 of them getting in. So Schoolboy Hours comes in for JP McManus, who pulled 2 of his others out. He's won a big handicap at Leopardstown. He's got down in the bottom of the weights, and I think a lot of the market there that you can see. There's loads and loads of horses all carrying massive weights. But this year there's a load of horses down the bottom that have got serious chances, and they're getting plenty of weight. So what should be favourite? I don't know. You could argue any second now. I think there may well be a run on Enjoy Dalland. I think he was the one that I liked at the best out of the Irish. But, the market on who's going to be favourite is almost as open as that.
OK, Paul Kealy, what I want you to do for me now is tell me, maybe of those 5 at the top of the market, so you got Manila Times, Any Second Now, Snow Leopardess, Delta Work and Eclair Surf, OK? Give me maybe 1 or 2 that you don't think can win. So ones that we
Manila
can cross
Times,
off.
50, I don't think Manila Times is another Tiger Roll, and he's, what, £15 higher?
Yes.
And it's shown nothing this year. I mean, it's a big arse. It's favourite because Rachel Blackmore is riding, and I can't see that. Snow Leopardess, no, don't think she's going to stay. She was out on her legs in the Beecher Chase.
Ride one of the Beecher, didn't it?
Sorry?
Ride one of the Beecher.
Yeah. So, obviously a bit higher in the weights there as well. Not sure she wants ground as fast as it's likely to be. They put 5 mil on last night, but I think they probably needed it, didn't it? You know what I mean? It's quicker than we thought. I don't like Run Wild Fred because he just doesn't win. I worry whether Longhouse Poet will want the ground a bit softer. He looks like an out-and-out stayer. I do like Enjoy Dalland.
So is he the most solid of the market leaders?
I think he's the most solid, other than, say, Any Second Now, who will run a big race. I worry about the high weights in a race this deep this year. OK,
you spoke about Any Second Now, and one person who knows Any Second Now almost as well as anybody else, apart from his dad Ted, is Ruby Walsh. Let's hear what Ruby has to say about Any Second Now.
Blood is thicker than water, PK, and I'm going to stick with Any Second Now as my number 1 anyway. Look, he was unlucky in the race last year. He made a mistake at the 10th and then he got brought down at the 12th. I think did incredibly well to get back to finish 3rd. He's £7 higher, but I think probably more significantly, and what was probably a worry, is that he has to carry 11 stone 8. Last year he had 10 stone 9 on his back. He's 11 stone 8 on his back tomorrow, even though he's only £7 higher in the weights. So it shows you the top of this race isn't quite as good as last year's, but he's in great form. He's had a good preparation, and I think he's a massive runner.
A massive runner.
They sort of underplaying Paddy Power there, didn't it? Just a Ruby Walsh racing expert.
I tell you what, you've undersold him a little bit there, haven't you?
I'd go back to your marketing, boys.
Yeah, exactly. Generation-defining jockey or racing expert.
So, Any Second Now ticks a lot of boxes. Where do you stand with Any Second Now?
He should be favourite. If this wasn't the Grand National, and you've got people all backing Rachel Blackmore and people like my wife backing Snow Leopardess because she too is a working mum and all that stuff, he would be favourite. He'd be 7-1 favourite. He deserves to be.
Why?
He would have won or gone very close last year and has got half the rise that Manila Times has. And even last year, you suspected this was always a Grade 1 horse that they just mucked about with to win the Grand National, basically. I thought he lost his chance last year, but that one in the Bobby Joe, when he wouldn't have been quite fit, just showed me that he's an even better horse this year, potentially. He really is that Grade 1 horse that he maybe looked like he could be. I think there's a lot to like. I think he should be favourite.
And maybe he will be favourite, but at the moment he is 10-1 with Paddy Power. Any Second Now. Jonathan, Delta Work comes in with the Tiger Roll profile, having won the cross-country at Cheltenham. We don't have a Tiger, but we have a Delta. Is Delta Work the type of horse that you think could play a big part?
I think on quality, he can play a big part. He's a Grade 1 horse. It takes a classier type of horse now, doesn't it, to win the Grand National. It's not the sort of old sloggers. It is a horse with a bit of class, bit of pace, proficient jumper, and he fits the bill. He obviously took to the cross-country at the Cheltenham Festival when he shot Bambi by beating Tiger Roll. But my concern with him, again, as Keels is saying with a lot of these, is he's carrying an awful lot of weight. in this, and you just got to think that might be a leveller, really. That might just sort of take that quality edge he's got away.
And there is an interview with Michael O'Leary in today's Racing Post, written by one of the weaker journalists with the Racing Post. But he says, I'm going to read you out a quote now. What sort of chance would you give him in the National, Michael? This is Delta Work. Not much. Come on, don't give me that. He's joint favourite. No, he's got no chance. He's highly rated, and the Grand National is usually won by horses who are down the bottom of the handicap. Look, he's highly rated because he deserves to be highly rated. He was a Grade 1 horse, but I don't give him much chance. And you can read that interview with Michael O'Leary in today's Racing Post. Is he right? Has he got no chance?
Don't need to read it now. You just read the whole thing out.
No, I did. It's better than that. It's very well written. So it is. Would you give him much chance?
You know, the question is, how good was Tiger Roll? Because it was basically the cross-country chase was a match between two horses who were just outclassed, who were just miles better than the rest, doesn't it? You know, and it doesn't matter how much they beat them by; they were entitled to do that. So it all depends on how good was Tiger Roll. Now, if they think Tiger Roll was good, no chance whatsoever of winning the National of his mark, then Delta Work's only a pound lower and has only just beaten Tiger Roll there. So what, you know, I don't, you know, he doesn't do it for me.
I'm also reminded that this is a horse that might have won a Gold Cup had he not blundered all the way round.
Didn't you say you think he's a little bit claustrophobic as well?
Yeah, I just think he will be ridden wide. I think if you go through all his races, he's always wide. He's always got space. He's never in the pack. And can you win a Grand National like that?
Well, I mean, it's probably the widest course in Britain, isn't it? So.
Timmy did it, didn't he?
There'd be a bit of room. Ryman Reason did it years ago, despite nearly falling, didn't he? He was right out the wide outside. You know, I mean, so it can be done.
OK, we're going to get into what the guys fancy now, because we've spoken about most of the market leaders. Jonathan, where have you come down?
I came down on Ascaria 10 was my first choice. I like the form of, obviously, that finishing so close to any second now in what looks to be a very good race. That's a perfect prep for me. But it's obviously carrying a more reasonable weight than any second now. And I like the profile. Gordon Elliott coming into it, perfect prep run, first run in the National, I believe, which is no bad thing. So yeah, that would be my #1 choice.
And a cracking run, the National Hunt Chase last year, of course. The Galvin Next Destination.
Which worked out reasonably well.
Yeah, worked out okay, yeah. So you're an Ascaria 10 fan?
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
You think it's going to Ireland again?
I think the British challenge this year is far stronger. But I still think those Irish horses in the Grand National are just that little bit better, a little bit more battle-hardened, and I can just see them fill in the place the first three.
Right, Keith Melrose, I'm going to big you up here because, you know, we've worked together for a few years now. You are our staying chase king. You pride yourself on getting these staying chases, right?
I do. And
Iders and Peter Marshes and all these staying chases, you get them. So...
Yeah, the National's a special case, though, isn't it? There's a lot of Irish form in there.
No, I don't want excuses. No, I don't want excuses. I just want the winner, please.
Yeah, well, I've told my main selection is Any Second now, because for me he stands out as a horse that should, you know, he just ticks all the boxes as the cliche, but he has the course form. He definitely stays. He's got so much class, and I think he's gone through his whole career. We've not been seeing his class because he has been always aimed at the Grand National. Remember, since he's won the 2019 Kinmure, was it that year he won the Kinmure? He was aimed at last year's National, and then that didn't go to plan, but he's still shaped really well. And this year he's been aimed at the National again, on the way winning the Bobby Joe half fit. So he stands out to me. You're never backing just one in the National, but he is the one that absolutely needs to be in your perm somewhere because his profile is just the best for the race as far as
And you think he should be favoured? He's 10-1 at the minute with Paddy Barr. You think that's value?
I do, yes. As I say, if I was pricing this race up, I'd have him in about 7-1. 7-1 clear favourite.
And if those are bigger prices, who are you kind of thinking are coming into the mix?
I've a horse. You always smile when you're going to put this horse up.
Yeah, it's a big smile.
You're going to get a reaction. Yeah, I don't smile much. Me and Jonathan we're a bit. Neither of us are. We're both a bit deadpan, but. Whenever you put up Santini, you're getting a bit of a reaction. Exactly, see? This is what I mean.
Come on, this is descended into farce now.
This horse is... I've watched his races back, and obviously when he ran against Commodore, plainly not fit. He ran in the Cotswold Chase, finished, what, a length or so behind Chantry House, and then he ran in the Gold Cup. He was still in the Gold Cup until he made an absolute mess of 4 out. Now, I'm not saying he's the 170 horse he was, but he doesn't need to be. I'm convinced he's still a 160-plus horse. And... a flat track, real test of stamina. He's 40-1. I think I can see him getting outpaced at one point, but I've definitely backed him each way. I can definitely see him being in the first 4 or 5.
Do you think he'll take to it? Is he not one of those, like, sorry, Keels, but is he not a bit like Mr. Coffee and he'll just kind of sulk?
No, Mr. Coffee's flatbread and doesn't like chasing. Like,
Mr. Coffee hated that yesterday.
He just hates.
I was embarrassed after one fence.
The horse just hates life. He doesn't like racing, does he?
Yeah.
But Santini, he's never been an attitude thing with Santini. He's just a bit slow.
Yeah.
It's never been anything else. He's absolutely perfectly likeable.
And he can jump really well.
He does. He jumps. He gives the Frenchies a bit of air. I think he's got a lot going for him. I mean, I could see him. I imagine there'll be a quicker horse from the elbow or something that'll maybe leave him from behind. But I can definitely see him being in the first few. Definitely.
Wow. And he's 40-1. Yes, Santini. It is the same Santini that almost won the Gold Cup. Keith Melrose thinks he's got a massive chance at 40-1. I was only joking. By the way, I wasn't. He could run well. He could run well. I can't see him winning, but he could run well. Right, you did tip in the Racing Post today. Pick up your Racing Post. You can read all about Paul Kealy and Tom Siegel, what they fancy in the National. But you can kind of give it away now, because give us your... You fired 2 bullets at the race.
I've fired 2 bullets at the race, yeah.
Big bullets.
Yeah, I mean, the more I look at this, the more open I think it is. I think it's 25 possible winners at least of this race. And,
glad you narrowed it down anyway.
And I'm not remotely excited by backing a 10-1 shot. Like, I mean, okay, it's not as you don't get as much carnage in a race like the National nowadays that you used to, but you only need something like what happened to Foxy Jacks yesterday when he fell and decided to fall sideways and went in quite quickly. You know what I mean? That sort of thing can happen in any given year. So, and I do think there's loads of horses down the bottom of the weights that are potentially well treated, and the 2 that I came down on were Kildesart and Mighty Thunder.
Okay, Kildesart first.
Right,
Make your case.
Right, Kildesart would have run in this race 2 years ago if COVID hadn't intervened, and he'd have run in it off a higher mark at a shorter price than he is now, because he'd been second to the conditioner in the Ultima. Now, he only managed 2 runs last year. The second one over hurdles as a prep for the Hennessy, and then he wasn't right, finished 7th in the Hennessy. We never saw him again after that because he just went wrong. So he came back, 462-day break, finished 4th. 2 Paint the Dream, he ran an absolute blinder in Grade 1 company yesterday. In a handicap over 2.5 mile at Newbury, 2.5 mile, nowhere near far enough for him, and he just shaped really, really well. He's £7 lower than he would have been in the National 2 years ago. Ben Paulding after the Newbury race sounded absolutely delighted, and he said, "I'm absolutely convinced he's at least as good as he was before." He's always been a spring horse. He's been placed in 2 Cheltenham festivals. He won the 3 mile, 1 furlong handicap chase that precedes the National 3 years ago. That was a race that was won by Don't Push It, and also won by State of Play and St. R, who were multiple places in the National. So, you know what I mean? He's a spring horse who goes on decent ground, who stays and might be well handicapped.
Case very well made. I have to say, you made a good case there.
It was my wise guy bet in the virtual Grand National. Remember the COVID National we didn't have? We had the virtual Grand National.
Don't talk to me about that. I would have logged on to all of my accounts and had and backed the same horse everywhere, and it wasn't off.
Back to non-trying virtual National.
Mind you, the real horse, I can't remember the name of it now, but absolutely useless, completely gone at the game, so I wouldn't have won anyway.
Okay.
But,
so Kildesart, case well made.
Kildesart,
40-1?
Yeah, 40-1, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
He jumps better now, doesn't he, as well? Because he used to be a bad jumper, Kildesart. He jumps better now.
Yeah, but I mean, he used to be a bad jumper, but he used to go for the top every now and again, didn't he? Like, you know what I mean? But you can do that at Aintree anyway.
Yeah, he can now.
Like, you know what I mean? So.
And your second choice is even more obscure.
So, well, how obscure is it? Seems to have been back with Paddy Power.
The last twice.
Seems to have been back with Paddy Power. It's only 22-1 I just saw. So there you go, Mighty Thunder on
the power of Paul Kealy.
Yeah. Well, look, if you'd have said of £3 higher than last year, if he'd come straight in off the Scottish National, it'd be 8-1, wouldn't he? I mean, he had last 3 runs last year. He won the Edinburgh National, finished second in the Midlands National, and then won the Scottish National.
Yeah, but he's been pulled up the last twice.
Yeah, he's been pulled up the last twice. He hasn't shown he didn't show anything in his first 2 starts, but last time he looked like he was going to hack up back in the Edinburgh National, turning into the straight, and they say his wind went. So he's had a wind up. That was what I was waiting to see. They get sent him for a wind up 5 days later. So he now comes back after having had that. If that's worked, he comes in here, as still a relatively lightly race chaser, £3 higher than having already won a Scottish National. And we know, he's got, so he's got marathon form on spring ground, in nationals, like, you know what I mean. So there's plenty I like about him at a big price. You can still get bigger than 22s elsewhere, so.
with thanks to our sponsors, Paddy Power. Good morning, Aintree.
You know what I'm saying? He's obviously shortened a fair bit. Like, you know what I mean? But if the Windhops works, he's got a massive chance.
Okay, so Kill the Start and Mighty Thunder are your two selections?
They are, yeah.
Okay, it's 1, 2, 3 time, and unbelievably, we've been on air for 27 minutes and we still haven't mentioned the winner of the Grand National. We'll see if this lasts. Could we get our 1, 2, 3 from you, Mr. Jonathan Harding?
Yeah, 1, Ascaria 10. 2, Enjoy Dalan. And 3, I'm going to go with, it was a toss-up between Longhouse Pert and Fiddler on the Roof. I'm going to side with Longhouse Pert.
Finally, he got a mention. He didn't make Johnson's 1, 2, 3, but finally the Grand National winner has been mentioned. 1, 2, 3.
Any second now. I'll put Santini in as third. And you know what? Maybe Longhouse Poet for a second.
Longhouse Poet. So any second now, Longhouse Poet and Santini?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Kill the Start, Mighty Thunder, Enjoy Dalan, Fiddler on the Roof.
Okay, that would be some try-cast. And I am a massive Fiddler on the Roof fan. Can I make my case?
You can make
I'll be very quick. Okay?
You can make your case, but he'll chuck it in on the running.
So Fiddler on the Roof, to me, is misunderstood. He's misunderstood.
Misunderstood,
He is, because everybody thinks he's been around for ages. He's been disappointed. He's not the horse we thought he was going to be. He's 8. He's a second season novice. He's a Grade 1 winner over hurdles. And he was running really well when the Tizard stable were out of form. I thought that was a cracking run in the Ladbrokes Trophy when he was second. He didn't travel or didn't jump at Ascot, but his raw ability got him home in second. And off 155, I think he would have ran well in the Gold Cup, and I think he's well handicapped. I think he liked flat tracks. I do think he likes.
I wasn't out of the question of backing him in the Gold Cup at 40s because I just thought he has. He
hasn't even major 1, 2, 3, 4.
I don't think he'll stay.
Okay.
I told you
back 8 anyway.
The market I want Paddy Power to do is who will lead over the Melling Road last time, and I back Fiddler on the Roof for that.
Okay, hold on a second, Paddy, yeah. I was just wondering, could you get a market on who will lead over the Melling Road? No.
Oh, come on, Paddy.
He's busy. No, he's having breakfast.
He made his name on these novelty bets. Come on, Paddy.
No, he's having breakfast. We're not going to have a market on who will lead over the Melling Road. But my 1, 2, 3 are Fiddler on the Roof. I think any second now will be third, and I think Ascaria 10 will be second. I don't know why I did it in that order. I went 1, 3, 2.
That was unconventional.
But there you go, on the screen there. We'll put them back up for you now. Those are our Grand National selections. It is Kill the Start is Keel's first choice at 40 to 1. Any second now, 10 to 1 for Keith Melrose. Ascaria 10, 16 to 1. That's a big price, Jonathan. And my tip, of course, with that absolutely horrific picture, is Fiddler on the Roof at 16 to 1. That is the Grand National. But there is a cracking supporting card on Grand National Day at Aintree, and we're going to kick off with the 145. It is a 3-mile handicap hurdle, and it is wide open. It's almost like a Grand National hurdle, isn't it? Like it's really wide open, Keels, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And you've got a horse in the race that would have gone very close to winning the Ladbrokes Trophy in November. If he hadn't fallen 4 out.
Oh, you're mad on this horse. He's been talking about this horse all week.
Can't we say now that he wouldn't have won that Ladbrokes Trophy?
Well, you can do, but you might not be right. I mean,
well, what he's shown subsequently would not suggest
yeah, but he was, he's had a wind up since he finished 4th and what's it, and his, his first time out run as a prep for Newbury was a third to Koshari here. Now I know Koshari was 80 to 1, but that was only because he switched trainers. Because if he hadn't switched trainers, it'd have been faff. Because he was with Willie Mullins. And he ran a blinder in the Stayers hurdle. Ran a cracker in the Stayers hurdle. So I don't think that's bad form. V-Master's obviously £13 lower over hurdles than he is over fences. David Pike won this in 2014 and 2018. And V-Master comes in there after a wind-up. And the trainer, who's had an absolute shocking season, has just started fire winners in all over the place. I think he's 8 from 19, so a fifth of this season's winners have come in the last fortnight. Right, so they're suddenly very well, having been under a cloud for the whole season. So trainer, good record, horse seriously well handicapped on his chase form, and has run well here. Got to have a cracking chance.
I've been here since Wednesday in the office here in London, and Remastered is the one horse that he's been talking about over and over and over again. So best of luck with Remastered. 7 to 1 currently with Paddy Power. I have a feeling that could go off a good deal shorter. Jonathan Harding, let's get viewers off to a flyer in the opener.
Well, I actually sent my selections in last night, so there'll be no accusations of plagiarism, but I have actually landed on Remastered. I've done it again. You went to Keels first again. Keels has been copying my tips all week.
I'll just explain to viewers, we had a pre-planning meeting here, and it was go to Jonathan first, just in case Keels and him tips the same horse, and of course I messed it up, and I've come to you second. But you're
yeah, I love him. I think he's incredibly well treated. Look at his chase form in a Peter Marsh and a Ladbrokes Trophy, coming back over hurdles over a significantly lower mark, and as Keels said, the yard is absolutely flying at the moment. So it just, in what looks to be an incredibly open race, like we say, I think 7-1 is a really good price for a very well handicapped, talented horse. 2
votes for Remastered so far. Are you going to make it 3?
No. I mean, yeah, it's a race. I've got a horse here that I'm sort of got a bit of history with too. I think that's maybe a little bit informing Keels' bet. And I thought Courseran was going to win a nice chase this year, but he didn't really jump well enough. He shaped all right in the Pertemps final at Cheltenham. Looking like I thought he would benefit from having a nice long straight to run up like you get at Aintree. You know, we talk about how Cheltenham's a much stiffer track than Aintree, but they turn in. They're still in Manchester. It's on that really, really long run in at Aintree. So it's a nice long straight, and I think it'll suit Courseran.
Courseran for Keith Melrose. And do you not think, though, we're kind of complicating it a bit? Yesterday we went through the opener, and really it was blatantly obvious. I know this is after time, but Langer Dan was well handicapped. He was improving. I think Winter Fog. I thought he ran an absolute cracker in the Pertemps final. I think Stamina just probably gave way maybe halfway up the running, but I thought that was a really good one from Winter Fog for Emmett Mullins and Paul Byrne, and I think he's going to make amends here.
Party Business was a massive eye catcher
yes.
in the Martin Pipe, and was 16-1 a couple of days ago when the deck came out. So there you go, joint favourite now. It's a lot of money for him. So you know, it's a wide open race. The other one I've actually backed is Dan Levant, who take away his Cheltenham form. You know, his form on flat tracks is ace. You know, like big field, handicap hurdles.
He won what used to be the fixed brush.
He gagged up that day.
He gagged up.
He came from too far. He came from too far behind when fifth in the Lanzarote. He obviously dropping back in trip, but yeah, he's back over 3 mile on a flat track. He'll run well too.
So that is Don Levant, who is 11-1 with Paddy Power. So 2 votes for Remastered and a kind of a half a vote for Don Levant. It's Courseran for Keith, and it is Winter Fog for me. That's your 145, and you can see our selections there on your screens. Moving on to the next one, it's the 225, and it is the first grade 1 of the day. And this is fascinating. 3 Stripe Life, of course, who chased home Sir Gerhard in the Ballymore Cheltenham, is currently your 16-5 favourite with Paddy Power. Walking on Air is 130. It is 11-2 Good Risk At All, and it is 7-1 Bar, which is North Lodge. Right, Jonathan? You first dibs this time, okay? Let's see, can you copy Paul Kealy?
Well, I think 3 Stripe Life obviously sets the standard, having chased home Sir Gerhard. That was an incredibly good run. We've had a bit of a mixed bag, haven't we, with horses coming out of Cheltenham and running at Aintree. We've had some winners, but we've also had some that have run deplorably after hard races. So I'm going to take a chance on Good Risk At All, who I actually watched win at Ascot, who Keels presumably is also putting up. I just think he seemed to enjoy that step up and trip, and he looks like one that can be really progressive over this kind of distance for a trainer who I said earlier this week's had a fantastic season in Sam Thomas.
It's mad, that, isn't it? You must have backed as many winners as I have this week.
There's been a rough week.
Which isn't very many. But yeah, I mean, you know, Good Risk At All. I mean, he's arguably Britain's best bumper horse last season on the basis of that win at Newbury. And you know, I actually backed him against John Bon on his second start over hurdles this year, thinking he must have learnt to jump from his first start, and he hadn't. You know, and his jumping was, you know, he was a real slow learner when it came to jumping, but he got it right at Ascot last time, and he was perfect. And he's a very decent horse. You know, I mean, you can't now say that Gordon Elliott is out of form. He's just
he's bang in form.
He's just out of luck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So 3 Stripe Life is definitely the one to beat, but I don't think we've seen the best of Good Risk At All. I mean, he could have won that by as far as he liked, couldn't he, at Ascot last time? Yes, it was only off a mark of 127, but I think we can confidently say that he's a lot better than that. So, yeah, I give him a chance as well. I give him a big chance.
Good Risk At All, 11-2 for Jonathan Harding and Paul Kealy. Are you going to complete the hat-trick?
Again, I'm not. I feel like I'm letting the side down here.
I'll come to you first next.
I'll do that, yeah. I can't believe Stage Stars 12s.
What did you make of Cheltenham, though?
Oh, he hated the slop, didn't he? And he raced too freely. So they've got the hood on. And, you know, I can't remember what price he went off that day, but he was shorter than 12-1 for Ballymore. was absolutely filthy ground that day. He hated it. He started down the hill, going all right, and then just went to nothing. So you can write that one off. And you know, if the old Kealy trick, if he hadn't run that day, he'd be 4-1, wouldn't he? So.
The old Kealy trick.
It's true, isn't it? You know, you can get some cracking prices if you're just prepared to ignore one bad run.
If you've got good reason to do so, which is what I've just tried to do, then that's it. And I just thought 12 was far too big on that basis.
Okay, interesting. My reputation is on the line here. It's not a very big reputation, but I have something of a reputation on the line here because I have said all spring, leading up to the Cheltenham Festival, that Might Eye is the best handicapped horse in Britain off a mark of 135. And now I'm convinced he is because he's going for a Grade 1 instead of going for a handicap. He's entered in the 2.5 mile handicap. He's going here instead. He's only rated 135, so he's got a lot of ground to make up on ratings. But he is trying 2.5 miles for the first time. He's a half-brother to Statler. He's crying out for the step up and trip. And Binge Drinker. He's a half-brother to Binge Drinker, who's a 3 mile chaser as well. Flat track,
I'm a
2.5
full brother
miles.
to a binge drinker.
That's very good, Kealy. Very good for 9 o'clock in the morning. I think he's crying out for a step up and trip. I was sick that he didn't go for the Martin Pipe. He had a setback, and that's always in the back of your mind that Miss Cheltenham, you know, it's not that much time between the two meetings. But to me, Might Eye is a very, very good horse. He was 16 to 1 with Paddy Power last night. He's 12 to 1 now. I still think that's value, and fingers crossed, Might Eye will prove to be a very, very good horse. Whether he's up to this, I don't quite know, but to me, he's going to be bang there turning in. I think he'd run a big race. Yeah, is there not?
Yeah, I was just thinking, wasn't Good Risk at all meant to be the best handicapped horse in Britain?
Yeah, but in my opinion,
on your opinion,
in my opinion, Might Eye I think is the best handicap. Yeah. But I know what you mean. Good Risk at all was very impressive.
Yeah, he was meant to. He was favourite just about for the Coral Cup, wasn't he? But didn't quite get in.
Yeah, there you go. So that is your 225. It is the Mersey Novices Hurdle. It's the first Grade 1 of the day, and the second Grade 1 of the day is coming up, and we will see our Arkle winner, Edward Stone, who's currently 8 to 15 favourite with Paddy Power in the Muggle Novices Chase. It is 4 to 1 Gentleman to Me and 5 to 1 Third Time Lucky. Right, Keith Melrose, is this all about Edward Stone?
Yeah, he's the sort of horse that people try and get beat because he's not, you know, he's a bit like Fakir Duderi. Fakir Duderi he gets shown up against an Allaho, but he's a very good sort of 170-ish horse. And yeah, I tried to get him beat yesterday. It was daft. Edward Stone's just the same. Because he's not a superstar, people try and get him beat. But he's a very, very good horse. He's extremely reliable. And, you know, we've got Gentleman to Me here coming to, oh yeah, maybe Gentleman to Me can beat him. No, he's not as good as him. So yeah, Edward Stone.
Edward Stone for you, Jonathan?
I'm afraid to say. I think Edward Stone wins. I think he's the best horse in the race. I think if he's anywhere near where he was at Cheltenham, he should be a different class to these. I mean, obviously he's odds on, so if you're doing a betting without or another, it would be Gentleman to Me for me as a selection. You can't back an odds on like that, but I think he will win. I think he sets the standard.
Okay, so 2 votes for Edward Stone, and Jonathan thinks Gentleman to Me will be second?
I think Edward Stone will probably win, but...
Probably?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a 65% chance of winning at 8 to 15, hasn't he? So I mean, it's you know, he's by far the most likely.
There
winner,
is a book coming here.
Well, you know, he's had a long season. He's been to Cheltenham and he's 2's on. So I mean, I can easily find a reason for opposing a horse that's been to Cheltenham at that sort of price. Like, you know, so and if Third Time Lucky is ever going to win a Grade 1, it'll be 2 mile round on dry ground.
I agree.
At Aintree.
I agree.
Like, you know what I mean? I'm not sure he will because every time he runs against Edward Stone beats him.
I know.
Like, you know what I mean? But if it's ever going to happen, it'll be today. I will have a very small bet on him just for an interest. But, you know, it's today or never for him.
I think you're right. So, that was a bit hard.
Oh, wow.
I think you're right. I think Third Time...
You should see him with a whip.
God, viewers have just tuned out now after that. We're in the bath, are we? 5 to 1 Third Time Lucky. I think, like, he's probably not going to beat Edward Stone. Like, probably by the law of averages, he's not going to beat. But it's 8 to 15 and 5 to 1. I don't think there's that much difference in ability between the two horses at this track. With the way the race is going to be run with Gentleman to Me in there, I think 5 to 1 is outstanding value. With Third Time Lucky, that's your Grade 1. It is a cracking Novices Chase, and hopefully we will see a top-class winner. Maybe it's Edward Stone, but it could be Third Time Lucky. That is the 3 o'clock. Moving on to the 3:35, and this is the return of Stayers Hurdle winner Flooring Porter, who is currently your 6 to 4 favourite with Paddy Power. It is 5 to 2 Time Hill. It is 4 to 1 Champ, and it is double figures bar 12 to 1 Ashdale Bob. Right, Keels, kick us off here.
Yeah, I think the only reason Florian Porter is odds against is because he got beat after Cheltenham last year, but that was at right-handed Punchestown when he missed a break and was too keen and jumped out to his left, etc. So he's coming here because it's left-handed. He won the Stayers Hurdle really easily. I don't really see why anything should beat him this time.
Agree?
Yeah.
Okay,
Good
move on. Johnny?
Yeah, sorry to be boring, but I do agree. I think he is the standout horse in that division now, by a long way. He was incredibly impressive at Cheltenham. I can see Time Hill getting a little bit closer, because he obviously is suited by Aintree, won it last year. I think he'll make it more of a test, but I just think it's an easier division to read this than some others. I think he is just the best staying hurdler, and I can see him winning.
Right, Keels, I'm going to put this to you, okay? When we went into the Stayers Hurdle, there was Florian Porter, Classical Dream, and one or two others who we thought, Liz Nagara-Oscar was in there, who we thought would potentially make it an absolute slugfest. They were going to go lickety-split from the start, and it ended up Danny Mullins got a freebie in front of Florian Porter.
Yeah, well, this is it. Well, the one thing you do is if you talk in the press...
I haven't asked the question yet.
Go on then.
No, there's a question coming. Yeah.
Oh, right,
my point is, right, Time Hill needs a thorough test of stamina. He doesn't want to turn into the sprint. And today, I think this is probably going to be the day where they're actually going to go flat out. He wants a flat out 3 miles from start to finish.
Who's going flat out?
I think something will take on Florian Porter. Yeah. So I think these jockeys here today. Well, what about Ashdale Bob?
Oh, I tell you what happens. In racing, right? If you talk about when it comes to pace in racing, right? If you talk about there being an absolute burn-up, right? There's a massive chance that there won't be because everybody's listening. Everybody knows the makeup of the race. To think, well, if we all do it, we can't, right? If you talk about one horse potentially getting a freebie on the lead, it will, right? Because nobody wants to be the one that serves it up to it.
There is
what will happen here is he will get the run of the race.
He won't. He won't because they're going to go, right, we cannot win this race if Florian Porter does what he does at Cheltenham.
Each individual jockey will say, I cannot win this race if I'm the one who takes on Florian Porter. Okay. And that's what right,
most
matters.
We'll have a gentleman's bet, right? I'll have a coffee with you that Florian Porter will not lead
Did I win the coffee yesterday?
I don't know. Can't
Mr. Coffee didn't.
But no, Mr. Coffee. I'll have a coffee with you that Florian Porter will not lead over the first hurdle.
You got it.
You think he will? You think he'll get a freebie? I don't think he will. There you go.
Time Hill needing an out 3. I think isn't he a borderline short runner?
No, he's a thorough stayer. Yeah. You look at him in the Stayers
I
hurdle.
thought he was a borderline short runner as well, to be honest.
He was flat out from the third last. Absolutely flat out.
It was a really steadily run race, that Stayers hurdle, and that's why I thought he got placed, because the emphasis wasn't on stamina, actually. Really, it was, and his speed sort of got him into the places there a little bit.
I'm the complete opposite. I think he's the proper stayer in the
Wasn't it? But when he was
2 things you're going to get wrong about the race today, then.
I'm looking forward to my chai latte or something. So yeah, but I think at the prices, I think Time Hill is probably worth chancing because they're going to go so fast and something is going to take on Florian Porter. They can't let Danny Mullins have another freebie. They just can't.
I thought it was the ride of the festival when he absolutely took the mickey out of them, didn't he? It was ridiculous what he did in that race.
Absolutely. And the race leading up to the Grand National is the 4:15, and it is a tremendously tricky handicap chase. And at the moment, Shamblu is currently a 3-1 favourite with Paddy Power. T Clipper, loads of money for T Clipper. Tom Siegel, I think, tipped him up, did he? 11-2 currently with Paddy Power. And Espoir de Ramée, my fancy in the race, the class act of the race. I think he's almost a Grade 1 horse, and I think Espoir de Ramée is going to take a bit of beating here. He's 13-2.
Did
he?
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
I backed him.
Funny track, Kelso, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't think there was any excuse for it. I didn't really go with the zest that I expected him to. And then didn't really see it out either.
He was quite tight in the betting as well, wasn't he? So it wasn't like he was expected to lead the run.
Yeah.
I like the horse an awful lot, but I was the same with Kelso. I didn't like Kelso very much.
Okay. So we've established that my tip has absolutely no chance. What do you fancy?
No, well, I mean, it should be, it should be easy, because obviously, if you believe, what Shamblu did in the Charlie Hall, then he's at least a stone well in. Obviously, it was 3 out when he fell, but 3 out isn't actually very far out at Wetherby, is it? Because they come quite close together.
Yeah, it's 4. It's half a mile, maybe.
But I mean, he was just running all over him in the Charlie Hall, wasn't he? So and if it had got much further, the handicapper would have put him up an absolute chunk. But then you've got that Allaho run where he just wasn't at the races at all, was he? I mean, I know
doesn't like Cheltenham, does he?
Beat. No, he probably doesn't like Cheltenham. And I now wonder if that Wetherby race just fell apart. And you know, I've never actually been convinced that even though he's won a Quarto Star, that he's an out-and-out stayer, and this is like 3 mile 1, and, you know, a competitive race. He's got no form in big fields, really, so I wanted to take him on. I was looking at I like Oscar Elite, who I backed him out the post for the Kim Muir, thinking that that's what he would run in because he'd be out of the handicap, and he actually ran a cracker from out of the handicap in the Ultimate. But I also backed Seen Not Heard. I just, you know, we talked about this at the Sandown the other day, and, you know, a couple of the guys were all over him, and he's done, you know, his first 3 wins, he jumped really well and raced really prominently, and this time he was held up and, you know, was just running on late, and then it just smacked of a prep for something else, you know, possibly needed a little bit, you know, and you think that Same Connections had Ben Telemar, who'd run well early in the season, had a break, come back, didn't run so well, and then went straight to Aintree, got backed and won the Red Rum Chase. You know, so this one's just got a similar sort of profile, and Seen Not Heard goes up to 3 mile for the first time, being, you know, a point winner on decent ground, a half brother to a 3 mile 2 furlong winner, and a novice off a low weight. Just very interesting for me.
Seen Not Heard. Currently with Paddy Power, a 12 to 1 shot is Paul Kealy's fancy. Keith Melrose, what do you like here?
Absolutely the same as Keels. I'm a massive Seen Not Heard fan. I think we were both talking about Sandown, both big fans of him that day. The only sort of thing with him is that I thought, yeah, Sandown, there was a possibility it was a prep run. We thought that before the race, but I thought if anything he was going to turn up in the Red Rum here. He's actually quite quick, but his pedigree, his point form says 3 miles will be fine. And to be honest, at 12 to 1 you can't. It's well worth taking the risk anyway at 12 to 1 because he's got so much talent. He's a brilliant jumper. When he gets to bounce out in front, and you hope that Jonathan Burke will do that again. 3 out of Wetherby is 3 furlongs out, by the way. Sorry, I was thinking 4.
It's not far out, is it?
But no, I'm with you. I don't think Shambu's a proper 3 miler. And this is a race that real stayers tend to win. But yes, Seen Not Heard for me. He's a horse I like an awful lot.
So Seen Not Heard for Keith Melrose, Seen Not Heard for Paul Kealy. Do we even have to ask Jonathan? Surely you're not going to do it.
No, not Seen Not Heard. I am going with, you say that it's a race that needs an out-and-out stayer, and if you have an out-and-out stayer, you'd like it to be trained by Christian Williams. So I'm going to come down on Captain Ord, who obviously beat Kitty's Light at Kempton in a chase, a handicap chase. And we then saw what Kitty's Light went and did in the Scottish National, albeit beaten an incredibly long way by a freak in Win My Wings. But form's been franked. Captain Ord's been sort of quite carefully campaigned this season. I think probably has a very good chance. For a very good trainer of staying chasers. A very good trainer of staying chasers. Christian Williams, 7 to 1. Currently Captain Ord for Jonathan Harding. So you'll see our selections on screen for the 4:15, the lead up to the Grand National. It is 2 votes for Seen Not Heard, 1 for Captain Ord, and 1 for Espoir de Ramée. So 6:20. There's a big gap, isn't there, between the Grand National and the bumper? Like it's a good hour. Well, it probably won't be an hour. It'll be 50 minutes.
You know, there's an hour between the 4:15 and the National, isn't there?
Yeah.
You know
so
what I mean?
So 6:20. What's your plan for today?
A lot of drinking, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'd be in the Sheephaven Bay in Camden.
God, it'll be packed now.
You know, that's you know. No, I always nag people, say, come on, you've got to come down. Ganley's my local, and Henry Hardwick, one of the guys who works for us.
You're getting a lot of plugs for pubs.
It's like no, but it's
be drinking for free.
It's simply a case of, like, you know, I'm always the one that says you've got to come to my pub, so this time I'm making an effort and going to somebody else's.
Ah, you're a lovely fella, aren't you?
So I'm that kind of guy.
So what
and the missus is on night, so I've got a late night pass and I don't have to rush home.
Poor Mrs. Kealy. 6:20, bumper. Have you given it any thought whatsoever?
No, I don't give it very much thought. I actually tipped up Crambo, but I've seen it's an on-runner, so I'll go with the Alan King thing, Ernest Gray, who's one of the ones that's top on RPR, but that was all I know about it. Do not take advice from me in bumpers.
Well, I'll tell you something else.
I don't know what I'm talking
7
about.
to 2.
Is he?
Ernest Gray, 7 to 2.
Go.
Okay, not a particularly strong fancy for Keels. Jonathan?
Similarly, I tend to leave the bumper alone, and I can't believe I'm going against Willie Mullins in a bumper at a festival, but I like Ernest Gray. I think he's just got a nice profile. Alan King doesn't pitch horses in sort of willy-nilly into deep water unless he really thinks there's something there. And I think we've seen enough on that last run at Warwick to suggest that he's a very good horse.
So 2 shades of grey so far? Are you going to make it 3?
No, I'm second in. I'm Henri the second.
I'm Henri the second as well. Are we going with Henri rather than Henry, yeah?
Well, yeah, French pedigree, innit? So I'm just gonna go with that. And it's also got a height at the end, isn't it? I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Again, I've not given this huge amount of thoughts either, but I like that Ascot run. It's got the whiff of Paul Nicholls is definitely aimed at this race after Ascot. Took the same route to Nappers Hill last year, who won this bumper. So yeah, it's I like the profile, I like the form. Again, I'll be honest with everybody. I'm not put hours of study into this one, but there was a lot.
You don't need to tell everybody that.
There was just a lot to like about that profile.
Okay, so Aintree, the second for me and Keith, and is Ernest Gray for Jonathan and Keels. Before we get into the naps and the charity bet, let's have a reminder of that offer from Paddy Power.
We're paying 6 places in the Grand National at 5:15 on Saturday. Log on to the Paddy Power app now to find out more. Paddy Power.
So 6 places with Paddy Power on the Grand National. What's not to like? Surely we'll get something to finish in the first 6. So it's nap time. Jonathan, we'll give you first dibs on the nap. What is your nap for Grand National Day?
Flooring Porter. He's a standout horse in the division, and if he's anywhere near where he was at Cheltenham, I think he should have too much for these.
This is like the John Bon approach of yesterday. You're just keeping it simple.
Well, nap,
doing the right thing.
Best bet of the day, I think. Yeah, I think he's too good. And I tried to take on Fakir yesterday, and I got my fingers burnt. So I'm going to go Flooring Porter.
Flooring Porter for Jonathan. Keith Melrose.
Seen not heard from me, I think.
Oh, has he stolen yours?
No, I napped Kildare in the paper. That's only because I need a 33-to-1 shot to get anywhere near to the naps table. So the actual horse I'm really looking forward to is back in the first, Remastered. So I hope it doesn't all go wrong straight away, but I think Remastered's got a massive chance. Remastered
for Keels, and I am a big Mai Tai fan in the first Grade 1 of the day at 225. I think he's going to prove himself to be a Grade 1 horse now that he steps up and trip. There you go. There are our naps on the screen. Remastered for Paul Kealy, See Not Heard for Keith Melrose, Flooring Porter for Jonathan Harding, and it is Mai Tai for myself.
Look at us, Shrudy's all avoiding the Grand National.
Yeah, but are we? So it's charity bet time, okay? It was a
I got an idea.
Spectacular. Oh. No, your idea went spectacularly wrong yesterday. Your idea was Mr. Coffee yesterday.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was a terrible idea. So I got, I'm sort of spread it around a little bit now. We've got a winner, haven't we?
We have a winner, yeah.
A pony each on our main selections in the National. They're all big, decent prices, aren't they? What about that?
I like that.
Yeah. A good idea.
And we might get a few enhancements from Paddy.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly. So 80-to-1 Kildare.
Well, Paddy is just collapsed.
Tell Kealy not to come back.
Jonathan, you have 25 quid to spend on the Grand National. Where's it going?
I'll stick with Iscaria 10.
Iscaria 10, 20-to-1 Paddy Power.
25 quid straight on any second now.
Any second now, we'll give you 16s.
Kildare.
What price are you hoping for?
40.
40, okay, 40-to-1 Kildare. And I will go with Fiddler on the Roof, and he's 16-to-1 at the moment, so we'll go with maybe 20s maybe. But there you go, on the screen. Those are our charity bets and our Grand National fancies. It's Kildare for Keels, it is Any Second Now for Keith, Iscaria 10 for Jonathan, and Fiddler on the Roof for myself. So that's it, folks. We've got there. 3 days in a row, 3 early mornings, the alarm going off at 6:30. Have you enjoyed it, Keels?
I don't need an alarm, mate.
Yeah, you're not a great sleeper.
Early morning, man.
Yeah. You've been up a good few hours?
4:10 I got up.
4:10? 4:10? Oh my God. Wow. Have you enjoyed the week?
Yeah, I love it. I love top class racing. I prefer it with I back some more winners than I have done. But even so, I love top quality racing, and you can't beat it, can you?
Well, enjoy your day. You're a busy day ahead. You're working?
Yes, I'll be in this very studio, though. Quick change, and I'll be sitting behind a desk watching it with Dave Orton and Ross Brierley and Natalie Green. Looking forward to that. The Nationals it's just one of those races. It's just feels a bit magic, and I'm a really miserable sod. I don't say things like that very often, but the National does just have that feel about it. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And for you, Jonathan, what does your day involve?
Well, I've got the rest of the day off.
You're off?
Yeah, I know.
God.
So
you have to sell posts, aren't you?
Yeah. So I'll
We can go on the hour now if you want.
Calm down, lads. Calm down. Go for breakfast.
I'll go for breakfast and then settle down and start racing this afternoon.
Absolutely.
Sensibly.
And we've got a big gap now between now. The Grand National's not till 5:15. So why not watch a brilliant video? You've got Ruby Walsh and Paul Carberry talking about Bobby Joe winning the National. I've seen it. It's brilliant. Go watch it on Paddy's site. You can see it. It's a glorious video reenacting the Grand National of Bobby Joe.
The greatest sportsman of the last 20 years in Ruby Walsh. talking about
There you go. Have a look. There's an hour between the race before the National and the National. Have a look at that video. It is glorious. So listen, my thanks to Jonathan, to Keith, to Paul, and from myself. Thanks for joining us all week here on Good Morning Aintree. Enjoy the Grand National. It is the day the nation goes racing.